to see something that you've never seen on TV before. I've been talking a big game about Elmer's Palm, and we're going to put it to the test today. While I read you facts ear to ear, let's see how many palms I can get through before the fun facts I have for you run out. Are you completely lost? I'm going to cover my palm in this Elmer's glue. I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to peel it off. I haven't done this since I was in 3rd grade, so I am absolutely geeked. And in case you wondered, because I know sometimes it matters a lot, I will be reading you facts from a Reader's Digest in 2005, because I know that some of us like that bibliography. But first, let's get a thin layer on, because I'm not sure how long this is going to take to dry, so we're going to figure that out together. And I will be using the bilingual version of this glue, so we have it in both English, French, and Spanish. We love being bilingual. Okay. Number 1 teacher brand, by the way, here. As you can see inside, we have some non-toxic, teacher-approved glue, washable, and so this is a very safe thing to do. Okay, so let's spread this sucker on, shall we? Great. Okay. Oh. I'll be taking my left palm, and I'll just be applying. We'll start with this little dollop. Okay. We're just gonna, we'll spread it with this tip. Really a soft, gentle layer just on the palm, as you can see. And I want to take a sabbatical to explain my process every single time. I'll be doing the facts from here on out, but I just wanted you to enjoy this experience with me. It feels great on the palm, just so you know. It's like a palm massage. I don't remember it feeling this good back in the day. I think I was more excited for the end goal, but look, it does have quite a peculiar aesthetic, but alright. Just rubbing it in there, just rubbing it in, my apologies. Okay, alright. Okay, now we're gonna let this dry. Then we're gonna peel it off in a little bit. Let's get to those facts, shall we? Using plaster casts of the remains of ancient man, anthropologists have tried to estimate when man's skull and vocal tract became suitable for speech. Even Neanderthal man, who lived between 100,000 and 40,000 years ago, may not have been able to produce the range of sounds found in known languages. Our own species, the Homo sapiens sapiens, first appeared about 35,000 years ago. And this has led some anthropologists to conclude that speech developed sometime between then and 20,000 years ago. Unfortunately, these conclusions tell us nothing next fact. More than 2,500 years ago, two babies were kept in isolation for at least 2 years in a cruel experiment aimed at tracking down the world's first language. The experiment was carried out by an Egyptian pharaoh, Psamtik I, who ruled from about 663 to 609 BC. He believed that, without anyone to copy, children would instinctively speak the world's original language, so he put two newborn babies of poor parents into solitary confinement. A shepherd was given the job of looking after the babies, but Psamtik insisted that nobody should speak in their presence. When, after 2 years, the shepherd reported that the children had begun to repeat a sound like beckles, he decided that Phrygian was the oldest language, but he overlooked the fact that beckos sounds very much like the bleating of a sheep, which was something that the children had often heard, so the experiment ultimately proved nothing. Weird experiments. We can get on board with that a little bit. Check it out. Totally clear layer. I might have needed to make it thicker, honestly. But look. See, we can peel it a little bit there. It's starting at the edge. Can you see? Yeah, you can. Look at that. Look at that. Ignore my hangnail. I'm a human too. I have a lot of anxiety sometimes and I take it out on my fingers. I'm working on it. Okay. Okay, ready? Ooh. Ooh. Cassandra was the daughter of the king of Troy, who was given the gift of prophecy by Apollo on the condition that she would accept him as her lover. When she withheld her side of the bargain, was Apollo not cute? Maybe he wasn't back in heat, I don't know. He was unable to take back the gift from her, so he made it that her predictions would always be ignored. And this is now known as the Cassandra paradox, if you ever hear about that. That is why. Make predictions, but no one will believe you. Psychology gets its name from Psyche, a beautiful girl in Greek mythology who was loved by Eros, the god of love. He forbade her to look at him because he was a god, and when she disobeyed by lighting a lamp in the dark, he abandoned her. Eventually, she was reunited with Eros and joined the Immortals, where she was revered as the personification of the human soul. That's our Psyche. Another update. Narcissists are named after Narcissus, a handsome youth who refused all offers of love, including love from the nymph Echo. He was punished by Aphrodite for his indifference by being made to fall in love with his own reflection in a forest pool. Unable to possess the image, he pined away and was changed into a flower that bears his name. The modern psychological term narcissist was actually coined by Sigmund Freud. Updates. False eyelashes were invented by the American film director D.W. Griffith when making his 1916 epic called Intolerance. He wanted actress Serena Owen to have lashes that brushed her cheeks to make her eyes shine larger than life. A wig maker wove human hair less oppressive, but government harassment in the form of restrictions and taxes on the soap-making industry caused the soap business to develop slowly. We live in a better time, I think, in some ways. Many ways, maybe. Alright, I'm gonna make it even thicker, okay? This one's real thick. Using chemicals to get high has been around for forever. Nitrous oxide was discovered in 1800, and when inhaled, it was found to give a giddy, intoxicated feeling, and it allowed people to release their emotions. It was called laughing gas, and for a while there were parties organized where people just sat around inhaling the fumes. Plant life could not exist without lightning. Nitrogen is an essential food for plants. The atmosphere is 80% nitrogen, but in a form that is insoluble and unusable. It is the intense heat of lightning that forces the nitrogen to combine with oxygen in the air, forming nitrogen oxides that are soluble in water and fall to the earth in rain as dilute nitric acid. This reacts with the minerals in the ground to become nitrates on which the plants depend. Crazy. The plant life of the oceans makes up about 85% of the greenery on the planet. There's a glob right there I'm trying to get. Just rip it in more. The electric eel is one of the most dangerous electric fish with an average discharge of 400 volts. More than half of its body is given over to electrical production. The oyster is usually ambisexual. It begins life as a male, then it becomes a female, then changes back to being a male, then back to being a female, and it may go back and forth many times. The female anglerfish is 6 times larger than her mate. The male anchors himself to the top of her head and stays there. For the rest of his life, they literally become one. Their digestive and circulatory systems are merged. Except for 2 very large generative organs and a few fins, nothing remains of the male. moves at speeds as high as 200 miles an hour. I didn't know any of these before, and I like all of them. They're fascinating to me. Like this one, human reproduction follows lunar time rather than solar time. Gestation is about 9 lunar months, and menstruation is 1 lunar month. By the age of 60, most people have lost 50% of their taste buds and 40% of their ability to smell. The brain is surrounded by a membrane containing veins and arteries. This membrane is filled with nerves of feeling. However, the brain itself has no feeling. If it is cut into, the person feels no pain. The only part of the human body that has no blood supply is the cornea. It takes its oxygen directly from the air. I think we're getting somewhere. I feel like this is making it go slower somehow. The hydrochloric acid of the human digestive process is so corrosive that it can eat its way through the iron of an automobile body. Yet it does not endanger the walls of the stomach, which are protected by a film of sticky mucus. That's crazy. So close. Science